Hello, everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm so glad that you guys are joining us today. I'm Michele Bellisari. I am the founder of hashtag Boca Lifestyle, and I'm also a realtor with Real Broker. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I don't normally go live here, but moving forward, I'm going to be going live on a regular basis, hopefully every week, with different guests to talk a little bit about real estate, lifestyle, and I think a little food and wine. You can find all this information at soboca.com. All the information is in my bio. Today, I have an amazing guest that I met on Clubhouse, which is a social audio app that came out in 2020. António Barbosa and I have had such good conversations in the real estate rooms and even in some non-real estate rooms about Portugal. And he is in Portugal. This is his specialty. I'll read a couple things from his bio. Welcome, Antonio. He's been a realtor for over 20 years. He sells lifestyle. I love that because I sell lifestyle too. He prides himself in being part of a decision of more than 500 families making Portugal their new home. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today on why you might want to make a move to Portugal or have a second home there. He's most happiest helping people to find a home or wealth investment property in Portugal or worldwide. His company name is Infinite Solutions. And it's a perfect name because he's not problem oriented. He is all solutions. So welcome to my first true live here on my YouTube channel. And I'm so glad that we are going to chat today about Portugal.
Hi, Michelle. Hello, everyone. And I guess I always say, if you can't be exclusive, be first. So thank you for allowing me to be your guinea pig. And
Absolutely.
love gonna be sharing about our beautiful Portugal and also your beautiful Florida. I
Yeah.
think we always say, I've been saying it for more than 20 years, that Portugal would be the new Florida. I would say that the 51st state. So, I always had the idea, and most people do, from the US, in the Northeast and the colder, the snowbirds, flock down to Florida, the warm weather. Well, guess what, Michelle? That's what's happening now. I think many people are realizing about Portugal. So thank you for having me on, and
My
definitely love
pleasure.
to share.
So as we know, the real estate market has been rocking and rolling for about 2 years, 2.5 years. And here in South Florida, prices are up, inventory is low. It is starting to tweak up a little bit as of this recording. And, people like warm weather. They like lifestyle. They like food. They like experiences. That's one thing that Florida brings to the table. And it's definitely something Portugal brings to the table. My oldest daughter's a flight attendant. So we get to travel. And Portugal is on our list, which I've mentioned to you, to come and see your beautiful country. Tell everybody, how did you end up in Portugal and, you know, making that your home? And we'll talk a little bit about the advantages of purchasing property in Portugal.
Sure, Michelle. Sometimes I hear the word a lot. I never really accustomed myself to that word, but in many ways, I'm an expat. And that's a word, like when I moved here, like expat. What is really that? Expat. And although I have my roots are Portuguese, from my mother and father, I did not grow up. I was not born in Portugal. I was born in Angola, in Africa. And at a very young age, we moved, our family moved to the United States. And that's probably, I'll start probably off here. Many of the reasons that people look to Portugal now is the same reasons that, we migrated there, right? It had to do with, safety, education, healthcare, right? That's why people migrate. They want a better life. So our parents wanted a better life for me and my sister. So we moved to the United States. I grew up there more than 28 years. I spent time mostly on the East Coast, but traveled, work, West Coast, San Francisco, lived in a little city called Naperville, Illinois, right outside of Chicago. And I worked in Oak Brook, lived in Houston, Dallas, lived in Orlando. So got to familiarize myself with a little bit of the U.S., and that's where I grew up. And definitely, I'm very proud to be an American. But now Portugal is my home. It has been, and it wasn't supposed to be. What you say, like a move here? I came here
Mm-hmm.
basically for 6 months. It was. I remember it was December 7th, and I spent my birthday there. It was December 5th, so on the 7th I moved. I came here for 6 months from December 7th until June 7th, and many things, many years have passed by. All I could say is probably the best move I ever made because of all those same reasons: the quality of life, cost of living, lifestyle. What you can get for your money. And at the time, it made the total sense. I wanted to be closer to my family, spend a little time with them, but it wasn't supposed to be a permanent move. Just things out. Then I discovered real estate too, Michelle, and that was probably the most important thing. And the
So
people.
you went there. What year did you go to Portugal?
This was in 2001, and
2001.
yeah, so over 20
So,
years.
so you went there in 2001 on vacation?
Well, I used to come here when you're a little kid, you don't have a choice. Your parents, you
Yeah,
have to go with them, right? And so you got to go, right? But once I turned 18 and I was able to get my own passport, and I just wanted to travel the world. I think that's the most beautiful thing is just exploring cultures, people, etc.
right.
So visited many beautiful countries in the world. And so after a long period, say about till I was about 24, so 6 years or so, 6, 7 years, I didn't come to Portugal, and things progressed since then.
Mm.
Then when after my parents retired, then I started to come more frequently, bring my niece over, um, etc. Oh, I think my background just went out. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Well, you missed that beautiful background was in the
You can
Algarve.
always put it back up.
And the thing is that really what made me realize, and you see, like, wow, the country's growing, the people,
Hmm.
everything. I mean, it's one thing when you're younger, you don't really realize all those things and the
Right.
opportunities, right? And so as you get older, you see, wow, okay, you start to look at life a little bit differently, and really you say, I was the first one that always says that out of all my family, I would never live in Portugal. I would never live here. I'd be the last one because of many reasons. Just
Yeah,
when but when I think it's all about timing, everything in life,
sure.
and I saw the opportunities, and Europe has grown a lot, right, since then. I mean, tremendously. Portugal, no doubt about it, and I started to see it. But the real difference was it was probably in the winter of '98 because of the expo, or summer of '98 originally. I came in the summer, and that year I came twice. Came in the summer, and then I came in the winter, and I saw the access, the roads, the infrastructures, the
Hmm.
people, everything was like international. Like, wow, this is not the Portugal I used to know. So it kind of grew on me
That's
on that way,
amazing.
and that's why then I kind of, when you started to come back every single year in the summer. Always, you'd come for the summer for a month, 2 months or so, spend the summer holidays, and not only with the family. And then all of a sudden, okay, you know what? Like, the truth is, what happened after September 11th, okay, really also made me realize about certain things and priority in life, and just to be closer to the ones you love and be around
Hmm.
them. Michelle, 20 years have gone by, and that's
It's
that's
gone
that's
by
the short
very
that's the short
quickly.
story.
So here's my question for you. If people are thinking about coming to Portugal, what's the cost of living like? What's the average price there for, say, a condo or a single family home? The lay of the land is, something you're familiar with. Talk to us a little bit about the economics of making a move. Why are people downsizing and saying, I'm going to sell my property here and I'm going to move to Portugal?
Well, Michelle, before, when 20 years ago, I remember, for the most part, and still is a big factor here. It's mostly retirees. They want to live out the golden years, retire, maybe play the golf, and just enjoy that quality of life, the sunshine, etc.
Hmm.
And all the beautiful things and I think that's what most people want, whether it's a holiday home or a permanent home. They want to just, relax. Okay, I've earned my living, I learned my life. I want to
Yeah.
enjoy my life now. So that was a big part, and in due part, now we see younger families too, with children moving here from all over the world, in the United States especially, for a variety of reasons we can all put our finger on. It has to do, but they're looking for that. And when they're looking, usually it would be, okay, the retiree looking for, there's specific areas of Portugal that they look for, which a lot of expats which is in the Algarve, which is in Lisbon, Cascais, okay, or Porto, etc. More and more, but those three are predominant areas that people look for. But Portugal is so big, right? So and different, and
So
there's a
what's
lot.
the size of Portugal compared to, say, Texas?
The weather, okay.
No, the size of Portugal, say, compared to the state of Texas. Like, what's the
Well,
comparison?
Texas is twice the size.
Okay,
Portugal is the size of New
so that
Jersey.
gives us an
It's
idea. And
probably the
then
closest.
what's the price points like that people could look at for property?
In different areas, I would go by it by square meter, okay, by
Okay.
square meter or square footage,
Yep.
because for example, like a 100 square meter apartment is 1,000 square feet, okay, and
Okay.
if you're looking in downtown Lisbon or Cascais or in the prime local areas, the Algarve, Porto, you're looking at like probably around 4,000 euros a square meter, 4 to 5,000 euros square meter, so it'd be about
Okay.
500,000 euros, okay,
Okay.
for a 100 square meter apartment, 1,000 square feet. Of course,
Okay.
outside of the bigger areas and more prime areas, you can find much less than that. I mean, there's other areas that probably for a third of that in the 250,000 euros to
Okay. So now
300,000.
you're talking. So if you wanted to get your feet wet and and you're talking condo or single
And
family home?
even yeah, but even less. There's areas, for example, in the Algarve, okay, like a two-bedroom apartment, which has about 90 square meters, 900 square feet. You can look at under 200,000 euros. You're not too far from the beach. There's areas
Mm-hmm.
are small, like Faro, for example, Faro, Corteira. Those are resort areas as well, and you're going to pay a fraction of the cost. We're not talking about the prime areas. If you want to live in the luxury, condominium closed in, etc. Those are all perks and benefits, but there's
And
people.
so prime area would be, you mentioned Lisbon. What are prime areas?
Cascais, the Algarve. There's in the Algarve. There's an area. Well, there's. It's called the Golden Triangle, which is
Ah,
from
okay.
Vila Moura and Quinta do Lago, Val do Lobo. That's like the most expensive area in the Algarve, and Lagos too. Lagos is on the western side, where the Golden Triangle is closer to more of the eastern side of the Algarve, and those are prime areas. Cascais is a prime area. Areas of like Porto, also prime areas, and there's other growing areas. If you would imagine, like in the central, the Silver Coast, okay, for example, it's like Orange County, California. You look at Manhattan Beach, Newport Beach,
Yeah.
etc. You're looking at like maybe in the 50s or 60s, a long time ago, maybe about 30 years from the Algarve back. Growing areas, people are really looking there because they could see. And also, what's the beautiful thing about those areas there, like in the Silver Coast, for example, it's still traditional Portuguese. It's not like that massive tourism. You don't have
Ah, okay.
because you have those, in the Algarve. I mean, you don't get me wrong. I love it. The water is a lot hotter than the Silver Coast, being by the Atlantic North, right?
Right.
The weather is all more moderate, sunny all year round. So there's those perks, and that's why tourism is the capital there. That's where the Algarve by far is the most frequently visited area and region of
And
Portugal.
what's the closest and I'm going to screen share. What's the closest airport?
There's three actually. Well,
Okay.
Lisbon is the major, right? And there's direct flights whether you're coming from San Francisco to Lisbon, direct flight on TAP. Miami,
Right.
Lisbon, direct flights. Newark, Lisbon, or Lisbon Porto has direct flights also, and all the major carriers, United, Delta,
I think we've
etc.
seen you on tap before.
Yeah, and TAP is the
And they were
national
amazing.
carrier. And then
Yeah.
then you
Can
have
you see
Porto in the north.
can you see this map?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay, so you're talking, okay, so there's Lisbon. So the
Hmm.
Golden Triangle
Down south.
goes
Down
south.
south.
Okay, gotcha.
It's in
Okay.
the southern part, and you can see there where Faro is, okay, right in the center,
Mhm.
more or less. That's also an international airport as well.
Okay. Right here?
Yeah, that's Faro. The
Gotcha.
Golden Triangle is just a little bit west of there. Okay, so you're close to an airport there as well. Okay,
Gotcha. Okay.
and then if you go further up where you're Lisbon, Cascais is right where the tip. Yeah, where you have that
There?
pointer right. No, more left, more to the Atlantic. That's right there. That's the area of Cascais. So that's definitely
Gotcha.
that's a
Okay.
prime area. And the further up north between Lisbon and Porto, that's the whole Silver Coast, right? And
Ah,
so you have the whole, it's fantastic. The beaches, the traditional Portuguese way of life, still not heavily as a tourist area for now. Okay, there's no hotels on the beaches or anything, but there's no shortage of services there and sites to
wow.
see and
Yeah.
restaurants and wine and everything. So definitely those are
And I have
areas.
some pictures of you. I'm not sure how to share them. I'll have to figure that out, but with you in front of like some wineries and just like really, really cool.
And
Um,
I had to dig very far. When you asked me, send me a few pictures.
I
I'm not
know.
one to take selfies. Usually I have a lot of pictures of food, without a doubt, and with friends and everything all the time. But I'm more about taking pictures of the food and the wine and the scenery more than
I'm with
anything.
you. So Boca loves to take pictures of food and wine. We love new restaurants. What's your favorite winery or wineries in Portugal?
Portugal has 13 wine regions, Michelle,
Really?
from north to south, okay? And
Okay.
the islands of Madeira and the Azores. Sometimes we talk about Portugal, but we forget we have two beautiful islands, or actually we have
Okay.
two, no, two region of islands, Madeira
Yeah.
and Porto Santo. One of the biggest stretches of beaches is there in Porto Santo. Azores Islands is always, by far, year after year, the best European nature tourism destination. You imagine like going to Maui, Hawaiian Islands, etc. I love those islands, but that's the most equivalent I've seen. And there's a lot of exotic islands, but the nature tourism there and the Azores as well. So, but with going back, there's 13 wine regions from
Wow.
north to south. My favorite is the Douro. That's in the north. It has to do with not only of the wine itself, but the way. If you go travel in the Douro Valley and you see like these uh, um, grapevine terrace lined schist, mountain caps
Yeah.
along the Douro River, and you see it's just amazing. Sometimes you think about how can wine, one of the best wines in the world, come from here, and because of the geological, the terrain, etc. It's not flat or anything, so it's amazing. But it's one of my favorite wine regions in Portugal, and I have a few
So are
favorite
is it more white wines, red
red.
wines, or
I'm
bubbly?
I'm, I'm a more of a red guy.
You're more red. So is Portugal known for reds or are they known for
Yeah,
whites?
Portugal is known for its quality, not
Okay.
quantity. Okay, we're all about quality. The
Okay.
quantity, we don't produce enough to go like where we, for example, like you have the best wine regions or wine production countries in the world. You have France, you have Argentina,
Yeah.
Spain. Okay, our neighbors, Spain. I love the Spanish wines too, but the Portuguese wines don't mass produce enough, probably to get out to the rest of the world. What we focus on is
Ah,
quality. And
okay.
if you go into, here's one of the things, you go into any supermarket, okay, and I'm not talking, you pick you in the middle of the shelves in the mild price range. You close your eyes, you pick a bottle, and it's going to be about €3 or so, 3-4 euros less than that in a supermarket. And it's one of any one of them you pick, quality wines. I'm more of a red guy. I do like
Yeah.
white. And white in my area where I live, which is in the north, in the Minho region, we have probably one of the noblest wine grape varieties. It's called the Alvarinho. Okay, it's part of the region of the Minho, the Vinho Verde region. Okay, and so Alvarinho by far is one of it's a cat, the grape variety. It's one of the most noblest white wines, and it's great for especially in the summer. You can have it all year round, but in the summer
Is it
with salads,
crisp,
seafood,
acidic,
yeah, yeah,
oaky? What is that?
more bubbly. It's not a
Ooh,
champagne. We can't. Champagne is only a region,
like
right?
a
Of Portugal.
prosecco, but
Yes,
Portuguese.
yeah, yeah. But with a little bit of a fizz, okay. But
Okay.
crisp, if it's cold, wow, with the salad, seafood, etc., red meat, white meat, chicken, pastas, etc. So definitely a white Alvarinho is something that I can enjoy, and without a doubt, we also have like Champagne is only a region out of France, right? But we
Right.
have in the central part of Portugal the Bairrada region, okay, where they make a spumante, which is a sparkling wine. Fantastic. I mean, people say, okay, champagne, champagne, champagne. You know what? If you have one of our sparkling wines, especially with there's a dish
You
there.
might
It's
never
called
go back,
this.
right? Like you'll
Yeah,
just be like on to that the whole time.
we have one of the seven gastronomic wonders of gastronomy in Portugal, which is the suckling pig. Okay, and have it. It's traditional. If you go to the center part of Portugal and
Yeah.
you have that, the suckling pig, you gotta have it with that sparkling wine. It's
Okay.
called spumante, and they make it in red, they
Oh,
make it in white, they make it in rosé. Lots of
oh my
new,
God. My
winemakers.
girls and I will love that. Kylie and Allie, we love our food. We love our sparkling wine.
But you know what's the most famous wine out of Portugal? It's world renowned, and but there's so much more. It's the port wine. Okay, that
Oh,
yeah, it's like if you have it's that sweet. You can either have
yeah.
it as an
After dinner almost. It's like an after dinner. The alcohol content, I think, is a little higher, right, in it?
Yeah, it's
Darn.
about it is. It is. You know what? You know what? It's my favorite. One of my favorite desserts. Okay, of to have, and to go and to wash it down definitely with the Porto wine. You
Yeah.
have this mountain goat cheese, okay, which is like bitter, strong, etc. So very powerful. Just the smell, it just wakens you up, right? And you sprinkle a little bit of honey and walnuts or raisins over it, and it's the mixture and the combination of sweet and
Yeah.
sour, everything, and you have a nice port wine, 10 years old and above, without a doubt. And that is my favorite dessert. Forget about
Love
sweets and
it.
everything. It's those are the things that Portugal, once you try the food, the gastronomy, the people, people, they may come here originally, okay, on a vacation, get to know it, etc. But they fall in love. They keep coming back, and a lot of them will make it their home because it
Oh,
just offers a lot.
we have some Portuguese restaurants here in South Florida. I'm just doing some Googling on TripAdvisor, and it looks like there's a really good restaurant in Miami called Old Lisbon, and it has 811 reviews. We may have to try that, but there's several around South Florida. Um, that have really good reviews, by the way. And so I think that's going to be something the girls and I are going to have to experience, and maybe Captain Andy is getting out and trying some Portuguese food here. It's not going to be the same as being in Portugal, but the only time I've been in Portugal was in the airport coming back from France and Italy. So I need to up my Portuguese food game. With that being said, from a expense standpoint, South Florida can be a little expensive here as far as living expenses. The real estate is expensive. We have no state income tax here. We also are a big business attractor here. Especially tech companies are coming in. We have the Go Bright line coming into Boca Raton. That station will be open in the next few months. And as of this recording, it's September of 2022. Um, what's it like on a how much does it really cost to live in Portugal?
I would see, for example, like to live comfortably, like a king almost. Okay, we have the minimum wage here is very low. It is. I mean, that's the minimum wage, but normally in the bigger cities, anywhere between say 15 to 20,000 euros, 18, 20,000 euros is a modest income, right, for a working
Mhm.
person. Um, Someone that is coming here, whether they're retired, and I would think, like for example, like to have a budget, say, if you own your own home, okay, but even if you don't, even renting a property, not in the
Yeah,
big city, of course, not in those prime areas, without a doubt, but say that somebody can live comfortably. I mean, that's going out every single day. Michelle, I eat out every single day. I mean, I
yeah,
have a daily special. It costs me. I have a starter as a soup with the bread and the
yeah.
maybe and I have a small bottle of wine, etc. The main dish, whether I have a meat dish or a fish dish. Like I said, small little bottle of wine or a carafe or beer or whatever. A dessert and coffee to go, and we're paying here in my local area about 8 euros, nine
Yeah.
euros for
What's
that
the
daily
exchange
special.
rate right now on a euro? About
That's the now it makes sense for Americans. You
Yeah.
know, the dollar hit parity. The dollar hit parity with the euro. So $1 is €1 now. So definitely
Okay.
with that
So
amount.
that's still really great. That's like
Yeah.
Rachel Ray back in the day when
And
she used to
you
do
look at it
her.
like whether if you're not sacrificing, you can go eat out every single day. In the bigger cities, you look at like me paying €8 or €9 here in the north or in other areas, more budgetly, let's just say. In the bigger cities, okay, maybe you'll pay €12 or 10, 12, €15, even up to that. But comfortably, living on, like, for say a budget of like between 1,500 euros dollars to
Okay.
2,000. I mean, it's comfortably way beyond
Yeah.
comfortable, way beyond if you own your own home, etc. But even if you have to rent the property, I mean, there's even renting a property, not even if you buy it and you own it outright and renting it, so look at it like maybe 2,500 euros a month, with the rent and everything. You live comfortably, super, super comfortably.
So are you finding that a lot of Americans in particular are purchasing property there and doing the short-term rental, Airbnb, Verbo, etc.?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because although there's certain restrictions on in the center in residential buildings now, it's a new ruling with the Supreme Court because not to have people don't want to have people that live there all year round and short-term rentals. But people,
Ah,
as long as you do it midterm or long-term, you could still invest and rent it out. But if you have your own home or in a private residence or a villa, etc., there's no restrictions on
mm,
that. And of course, we're even having like that breakfast, that bed and breakfast, Airbnb. People
yeah.
live in a house or a farm or a house, etc., renting even a room. It is quite frequent here, and it has become for people to invest in that. Some of our clients use the property sporadically throughout the year, and
Yeah.
then they rent out the time that they're not using it. Short term. Somebody that
Hmm.
wants to stay for 10 days, a week, or two, or 3 months, 6 months to explore the country and deep dive into it. So definitely, there's a lot of potential there. The thing is to keep in mind that a lot of the investors or buyers, if they anybody from the US especially, that's what makes it also attractive. Anybody from the US does not need any formal, say, visa process. If you go to the travel agency, you buy an airplane ticket here, you don't need any visa. We have bilateral agreements between
Mm.
Portugal and the US. You just come here, you could stay up to 90 days at a time. For you to buy a property, you don't have to have residency status or anything.
Really?
Yeah. For residency status, if you're going to stay more than 90 days,
Yeah.
then you have to fulfill some kind of residency requirements. And that's
Hmm.
even attractive as well. We have the Golden Visa program or the passive income visa, otherwise known as the D7 visa, that allows you to stay for more than 90 days at a time. But if somebody wants to buy a holiday home, they don't want to live here all year round and they want to get a passport to go with it, right? For example, there's ways you could do that, whether the golden visa, the passive income visa,
Interesting.
or if somebody, hey, you know what, I don't want residency, I just want a property to invest, maybe
Yeah.
get a nice ROI, and go there sporadically throughout the year. I want to go there twice a year. Well, guess what, Michelle? You can come to Portugal twice in a single year, in a calendar year, twice for up to 90 days at a time. So you can actually spend 180 days in the country without any formal visa process or anything.
Really?
So it makes it that attractive where it's those bilateral agreements that we have with Portugal and the US. The same way that someone from Portugal, if they want to go to Miami and stay in Miami, and stay there for up to 90 days on a travel visa, and it's called a Schengen visa
Uh-huh.
for you to here. If somebody here goes to the US as a travel, we could stay up to 90 days there as well without any formal visa process. It's those bilateral agreements, and it makes it attractive for people. It's the easiness. And then when somebody's coming from the US to here to Europe, the first country they got to go past, the closest is Portugal, right? So
Yeah.
we're talking from Miami to here,
Yeah.
what, 6 hour flight, 7 hour flight, so hop, skip, and a jump. It's just, I always say, right over the
It
pond.
was a short jump. I have to tell you, because first time we went to Europe, we flew into Frankfurt. That's a bit of a flight. And then we went to flew to Nice. The second time we did the same thing, we flew to Frankfurt, and then we flew to Florence. But coming back, we flew through Portugal at least one of the times, and it was a fairly short flight to Miami.
It's again, it makes it that easy from the East Coast to Portugal. Anybody coming to Europe, the first country they have to pass over is Portugal. And if you're
Yeah.
going into Madeira or the Azores, that's only a 4 hour. I was gonna say 4 hour drive, 4 hour plane ride
So the
into
other
the
question I
Azores.
have is, as far as like, do you drive on the same side of the road as you do in the US, or is it like the UK?
No, the same side, same side.
Okay.
Unless you're a little tipsy, then you might drive. No, I'm joking.
Then you might want to get an Uber. Do you have Uber there?
No, but it's the same, and you don't even have to when if you're staying here, unless you're going to be staying for more than 6 months at a time, then you have to change your driver's license. Otherwise, you don't
Got
need
it.
any. You can even renting a car, you don't have to change any driver's license. But
Okay.
it's
You have
just as long
taxis and all the car
the only thing we
services.
have probably more than the U.S. is the roundabouts. So
Sorry, I
you
have
know,
like three of them in my neighborhood.
those are, if you go, whether you go into the right and left, those even for myself, when I first came here, it says, oh, roundabouts, what are these? These are something new, so
I
you get used
love
to it.
it.
That's the only difference.
So, what do you think, the with real estate internationally, what do you see for Portugal in the next 12 to 24 months? Because obviously we've had a shift in the market, at least here in the United States. Um, it's normalizing, it's not a crash. But what are you seeing in Portugal? Are you still seeing a high demand?
Yeah, yes, Michelle. There's not enough. Well, there is enough supply. The figures for like the last semester, in 2022, this year so far. Imagine only 48% of new builds, new construction, were sold. So for me, that's a good number. There's 52 still available, right? But with
Mhm.
that said, most have an idea that lack of inventory. Yes, in certain areas there is lack of inventory. The prime areas like around Lisbon, etc. Of course, there's not enough supply for all the demand of all of many people, especially Americans. Americans are by far the biggest group of buyers. They even beat out the Asian market, the Chinese, when it came to do with golden visas, for example. First time this year, and that's because I think Americans are discovering it here. Portugal, we've been here for centuries, but they're discovering it. COVID brought about that. And
Yeah,
so this the over the I would say even before COVID, there was always a big, I always say to people more than 20 years ago, that people used to laugh at me saying that Portugal would be the new Florida. I always say new Florida, new California, where people, Americans, and
Sun
everybody say
Belt.
Americans. No, Americans will never want to come to Portugal. They don't. This is nothing for them. They won't like it. Are you kidding me? That's the same reasons I moved here. Made it my home because of all the everything that it has to offer. And we're going to see a lot more of demand and people in the next couple of years. Uh, the prices are always keep going up, and they have been. They'll continue to go. Demand will be
Right.
there. Supply is enough for now. Okay,
Okay.
people say, "Oh, there's in certain areas, of course, when you go to areas of like Ericeira, Mafra, Sintra, Cascais, of course, there's low inventory, because there's a lot of demand for that areas, right? Even in the Algarve. But if there's Portugal is so big that there's enough properties for everybody, here. And
Well,
what's
and
going
the other thing is, you guys have some amazing beaches there.
without a doubt, Portugal, we have it. We have the beaches, we have the sunshine. Portugal. I always say there's like five top reasons. I can give you over 100, but five top reasons that why I should
Perfect.
consider. Anyone asks me why should I move to Portugal, Antonio?
Yeah.
Give me a reason. I'll give you five, and it's very simple. It has to do with one is the weather. Okay, weather. Portugal has over 3,300 hours of sunshine per year. It's one of the highest rates in Europe. So
Wow.
once so if you like rain, this is not the country for you, for sure. It does rain maybe in north here. It's the four season kind of weather, but for sure one of my reasons is definitely the top five is definitely the weather, the satisfaction. Once you try the food, you sample the food, the gastronomy, the wine, the people. People come back and they keep coming back. Some of them make it their home. One of the reasons, the third reason, one you talked about, that has to do with values in comparison to other major European cities. You look at France, London, Barcelona, Milan, etc. If you go to Lisbon, Porto, big cities, it's still probably a fraction of the cost in terms
Right.
of property value, cost of living. Just having a beer, in the center of Lisbon, okay, you could pay up to €2, maybe 2.5 euros. If you go to France, you go to London, you're going to pay over five euros, $5, $7, or even more for
Yeah.
that same beer. So the cost of living and the values for sure. Number four, we just talked a little bit about that. It has to do with the easiness of the visa processes and people traveling here, getting here. There's an array, golden visa, the passive income visa.
Yeah.
One of the reasons also has to do with tax benefits. Somebody moving here, you're not going to be double taxed. For example, there's bilateral agreements. It's called the NHR resident status, or the non-habitual resident status, okay, where you can qualify for up to 10 years of paying zero tax on your passive income. So if you're a retiree, etc., you declare Portugal as your permanent home, you're not going to be being taxed on it, because the U.S. is only going to tax. They're going to tax you where you live, not where where the income is coming. And even the bilateral, and it's and then of course those are the fifth reason: safety. So that's why when you say beaches, yeah, we have it. Yeah, we have it. The food, yes, we have it. Yeah, the low cost. A lot of people confuse Portugal with being cheap. No, it's not cheap by no means. It's affordable.
It's
Yes,
affordable.
it's affordable. Okay. Cheap is not the word to be used. Maybe cheap was 20, 30 years ago, without a doubt,
Yeah.
and, but it was very different. Probably the infrastructures, when
Yeah.
you travel on a highway, when you go to a hospital, when you go to the schools, the education level here, everyone speaks English pretty much, Michelle. You got to remember that, over the 20, 30 years, Portugal has suffered and gone through a lot of growing pains. We're not perfect. We have our own social issues as well. But when you put it all together and you wrap it up, definitely, without a doubt, Portugal. One of the sometimes people say, "Oh, you know what? This should be the number one reason," and the fifth reason is safety. Portugal, by far, and this is not a fact. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. Okay, Portugal is one of the safest countries to live, and this is by the Global Peace Index. Year after year, it's up at the top. Whether it was this year is the sixth safest country, last year was the third, it's been the fourth. So Portugal, without a doubt, when you compare it to criminality, like social unrest, everything, safety is one of the factors. And people, one of the reasons they want to buy here, live here, have a house here, is they know even when you buy a property, it's yours. The way that it's done to register the property, it's legal, everything. It's even beyond like the registration of it, like not in a lot of other countries where you can buy a property, it's yours today. Maybe somebody could just take possession of it tomorrow or whatever, that doesn't happen here. And those are the things
So
that
I have a question. When you go to buy property there, what's the closing process? Because here it can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 60 days. So can you get mortgages for your property in Portugal?
absolutely.
I know it sounds dumb, but I've never sold property there, so I'm asking.
Yeah, no, at the same time, you could do, what you say, 2 weeks, you could do a closing tomorrow. If the property has no liens on it, nothing for, or
Yeah,
mortgage,
you're paying cash.
paying cash, you could do it tomorrow. You just go up to the notary. If the notary has the day available, you could do it. But generally, a closing process is about 60 days, 90 days. You give a down payment. Like, we don't have like what you would have there, like an earnest deposit, okay, or escrow accounts where it stays in escrow. The down payment, which is considered like your deposit or earnest deposit, goes directly to the property owner. It's a contract. It's the acronym CPCV, and basically it's Contrato de Promessa de Compra e Venda. Basically, what that means, the property owner promises to sell, the buyer promises to buy. You have all the contingencies on the contract. It's a legal binding contract. Usually a 10% deposit is required or less, so you can agree with that. And then you set a closing date. And whether it could be 60 days, 90 days, that's all,
Interesting.
you can go in between there. And but there's no title. There's no title insurance, because when you do the closing, everything is done. It's an act simultaneously. Obviously, the lawyer does the due diligence before signing the contract, or exchange of contracts, as you would say it in the U.S., right? And you give it down.
Okay.
At that point, the due diligence is done. But then the day of the closing, the notary verifies there's no liens on the property. Everything is done, is all computerized, right? It's all electronically, so you could see who are the owners. They're signing, etc. There's no way to get around it. It's all registered, in the
Yeah.
land office registry. And then you would say that, like, for example, a big difference is here is that in Portugal, the buyer pays for all the transactional fees
Okay.
of the property registration, not like in
Mhm.
the US, taxes, the property, everything. The only thing the property owner pays is, of course, the selling commission, okay, of the listing, because it's the same way in the US when you do real estate, like
The
the MLS,
seller is
you have a
responsible
50/50
for
split,
that piece of it.
and you do
Okay,
the
gotcha.
split. But other than that, the buyer pays all the additional costs of a property. So say if you're buying a property of 200,000 euros, look at it with all the closing costs, registration, notary, lawyer, etc. Look at it between an 8 to 10%. And the
Okay.
higher up the property. So on a 200,000 euro property, having all the closing costs, everything, because the biggest expenses are the taxes. Portugal is very, if that's one thing I still haven't gotten used to, it
So your
is
property taxes are
we're
high
not
there.
perfect. Yeah, not
Okay.
on property tax annually. No, I'm talking about like property transfer taxes. A
Okay.
lot of just stamp duties. Okay, a foreign buyer can buy property here in Portugal. They can qualify for a loan. They can get up to like 70% LTV, loan to value ratio. So
Okay.
they can buy it. They have to have 200,000 euros. They would have to have what 60,000 euros of their own capital, but they can finance the 140,000. It is possible.
Okay.
And so for someone that a resident here, permanent resident, they qualify for a 90% LTV, right? So they would only have to have.
Got it.
But for foreigners, and it's a process. And right now, still interest rates are still low. When you
Yep.
talk about, and interest rates have gone up, of course, like everywhere else in the world, but we're still like around, imagine for 3% at the moment. It's still possible to use to
Wow.
buy. So it still makes it. I always say using leverage.
That's very different than here because here we're in the fives.
Yeah, no, we're still we were at the fives pre-COVID, like we're talking about
Yeah.
after the financial crisis,
Interesting.
maybe 10 years ago or so. We were at 5, 6%, but now you could still get about 3% or so. Maybe if they go high, but it still makes
Yeah.
it
So you have
using.
your own version of the Fed in Portugal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we have the Banco de Portugal, and
There
but
you go.
it's based upon our bank is based upon the Central European Bank. It's the Real. It's too long of a story.
Yeah.
We need about over an hour to explain to you, but they have a spread before, and or they have what the interest rate where they loan out the money. Right now, it's at more or less 1%. Close to it, and so what the difference is what the spread is what the bank will charge you for that money. So if you're looking at 1.5 or 2%, so that's what I'm saying, you get the 3%
Yeah.
rate, but it's still using the bank to leverage it probably is more effective than using your own capital, because I mean we can go into this at ROIs and yields and
Oh,
etc., but
yeah. Well,
using
I'm
it.
going to let people reach out to you on that if they have any interest. And of course, if you're looking to sell a property here and maybe move to Portugal, you can reach out to me, Michelle B. Reach out to Antonio. We can certainly work together to help with a smooth transition from here to there. Also, if anybody watching is in Portugal and you're moving here to South Florida, let us know, because Antonio and I know all the best real estate agents around the world at this point, I think, right, Antonio?
Absolutely, it's you have to be international. I mean, that's what that
Yeah.
people are all over the world, so it's having those referral partners, as you say.
Yes.
Not somebody from Portugal. Why not? But you know what, Michelle? I've talked about Portugal, and you're going to tell me maybe, you can give me over 100. I know some of them for sure, but maybe your top 5 reasons too. Why should someone in Portugal or
Oh,
Spain, Europe, move to your neck of the woods?
to
And,
Boca Raton in South Florida. Well, obviously the weather is amazing. So that's always top, top, top. We have no state income tax here. So if you end up moving here and you become, permanent and whatnot, that we have no state income tax here. Our lifestyle is amazing, like your lifestyle in Portugal is. We do so much outside, whether it's boating, fishing, the beaches, parks, recreation. On the Soboka blog, I have all the different cities throughout South Florida, and you can see all the activities that are going on at any given time. Arts, music, it's just fantastic. There's really different types of properties depending on what you want. You can live on the water, you can live inland, you can live in a gated community or in a non-gated community. You can buy single family home, you can buy condo, you can buy townhouse, you can buy villa. There's just so many reasons why people are moving here. And as I mentioned earlier, we're building a tech hub here from Miami up through the Palm Beaches. So that's a big draw for all size tech companies. We've seen a big pull from California with that. And obviously, our property taxes here seem to be way more reasonable than other locations around the world, and also different states. And I think just from enjoying what we have here at our fingertips is a big draw. People want to be where it's sunny and warm. And of course, we're coming into the winter season now.
I got a question for you the same way. For
Sure.
example, a Portuguese, and remember, if anybody in Portugal, definitely reach out to me and or Michelle because, in that area, I think we're specialists. We always talk about this, the niches and niche markets, lifestyle markets. We know what our buyers are looking for. Sometimes when the buyers come to us looking for properties the same way like you, Michelle, they want to know, okay, what are the coolest restaurants? Okay, you know what, recommend here. What are we going to do here? Because it's a
Yeah.
lifestyle property. So you
Yeah.
got to know all about the market, and you know it. I know it. We got to know it, right? But for example, like somebody from Portugal or Europe, a non-U.S. citizen, is it possible for somebody also there to buy a property without being a U.S. citizen, for example?
Well, you can be, there's 4 national pieces. And what I do is I refer buyers to attorneys to have that discussion because everything is different and unique. And then also I refer them over to some lenders that I work with that specialize in foreign folks purchasing here because everything is, it can be a little more, I think it's probably a little more complicated than what you spelled out. So I always refer my inquiries about that. Like I have some family that's moving here from Canada, and I already put them in touch with an attorney here to have those conversations because there's businesses that sometimes are moving here, plus they're moving here. We have green cards here. We have lots of moving pieces here. So that's my stock answer is I will refer you to people that are far better in answering those questions than I am. But that's the beauty. We know the
Always use
right
a
people.
professional. Always definitely use a professional, and especially when you would always
Yeah.
definitely a lawyer, a solicitor. Here, we have here is a solicitor. Okay,
Yeah.
a solicitor is just like a lawyer, and in many ways they do a lot of real estate transactions.
Yeah.
The notary, okay, notary is not like in the U.S. like a simple notary. A notary here is almost like it is above especially their education background is above a lawyer or solicitor, almost like a judge, So they're this
Yeah.
supreme echelon, the responsible, the highest of any property transaction for closing or whatever. But there's very similar. Real estate is real estate, right, Michelle? Doing
Exactly.
but having the professional, the realtor, to help you and guide you. Because it's all about it, knowing the market and again
Exactly. And
all the
having the right
small little details.
professionals to assist you with making it a smooth move, literally, no matter where you're coming from or where you're going, and having a team of real estate professionals that speak to each other, they communicate, have mutual respect. It makes it so much better across the board. Well, I so appreciate you joining me today. I think this was so much fun. Where can everybody find you? What's your website?
Oh my! I was going to tell you my home address if anybody wants to stop by.
I'll buy you a glass of wine for €3. Woo! Yeah.
I'll tell anybody, you can invite me to lunch or dinner anytime. Just don't invite me to work, please. So, but feel free. No, probably the easiest way is through my 10K card, the digital business card,
Okay.
Antonio10K.com, because that has all my social media handles,
There you
website,
go.
everything. Antonio10K.com. And
Perfect. So if
definitely,
you
we gotta
you're
probably
also on
repeat this again.
Instagram, so you can follow him on Instagram, but follow his what he just gave you because that's going to have all of the
Or Moving to
information.
Portugal group, even on
Yeah,
Facebook. If you look up Moving to Portugal, okay,
there
Moving
you
to
go.
Portugal, it's there. It's a private Facebook group that we have. We provide lots of information about people and anyone that's there already living here, adding value, and just answering questions. Sometimes the smallest question is big for somebody who doesn't know. For us, it's simple and easy,
Yeah,
because we know it. And so there's a lot of definitely there. So Moving to Portugal is one of our biggest. Probably right now where we're getting a lot of leads and people
that's
looking to.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I have Boca Raton Live Work Play on Facebook. That's a group that I started, and same thing. We like to just add a lot of value and share why people want to live here, move here, and play here and work here. And if y'all like this kind of interview, I'm going to be doing more of these and give you a little sneak peek of what it's like to potentially purchase property elsewhere, and also a little update on what's going on in the market and things that are happening around South Florida. And we have a lot happening. We're coming into season right now, and there's always fun things to do. You can follow me, Michele B, on Instagram at Boca, on YouTube at Michele Bellisari, and on all the social media. And thank you again, Antonio. This was so much fun today. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yeah, thank you, Michele. I'll say this, and for you guys out there listening, definitely Michele was one of those special people that I've met here, not only on Clubhouse, but also just, in terms of the way you put together your social media. We always say we have mentors, we have teachers all around us, coaches. Just be alert. Follow Michele. Follow Michele. There's a lot of great content that she puts out that we're not going to copy what you're doing. Nobody should do. You should be original, but you can emulate it to your own little area that you do. And believe me, I did that since the beginning when we connected. And these are the people that you meet that you want to follow. The professionals that you learn from. I learn from you and everyone else every single day, in and out, whether Clubhouse or Facebook or Instagram and YouTube and everything. So, Michele, I want to just say thank you. I think I've said it many times before.
Oh, no, my pleasure. I just am so glad we connected. I mean, it's funny how things happened during the pandemic, and many of us migrated over to Clubhouse. And surprisingly, and we're still going strong in a few of these groups that we have gotten to know each other. Many of us have met in person. You build stronger relationships through your social media. And yeah, emulate what I'm doing, what Antonio is doing, because no matter what your business, you want to get personal and connect. And this is a great way to do it. And now we just did our first live. So I'm super excited.
Me too. Thank you so much. And
All right, everyone. Hashtag
bye, bye,
Soboka's out. See ya.
bye, Michele.